I'm Joshua Reinier, and I'm going to be singing Autumn in New York. Autumn in New York, why does it seem so inviting? Autumn in New York, it spells the thrill of first nighting. Glittering crowds and shimmering clouds in canyons of steel, they're making me feel I'm home. It's autumn in New York that brings the promise of new love. Autumn in New York is often mingled with pain. Dreamers with empty hands may sigh for exotic lands, but autumn in New York, it's good to live it again. So ba ba do da 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 da. So ba da 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 ba da da ba da 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 ba da do da do. Say do da do yo da ba do da. So ba ba da da no. So ba do da do da do ba da da. So do da da do da say oh. It's autumn in New York. The gleaming rooftops at sundown. Autumn in New York, it lifts you up when you're run down. Jaded roués and gay divorcees who lunch at the Ritz will tell you that it's divine. It's autumn in New York, transforms the slums into Mayfair. Autumn in New York, you'll need no castles in Spain. Lovers that bless the dark on benches in Central Park. Greet autumn in New York. It's good to live it again, again.
Joshua, that was great. What a cool song. I've not heard this song either, and you made me just fall in love with it. I actually don't have that much to say. I thought you told the story really beautifully. You have a lot of control over your voice, which is wonderful. You had some nice kind of crescendos in there, and when you said the word sigh, you were like sigh. And when you said the word sparkle, it was like sparkle. Like I saw it. You weren't just saying the words, like you were like feeling them too, which I thought was really beautiful. You really painted the picture for us of autumn in New York and how much you love it. And how it made you feel. I think the beginning is great, and then the little surprise of kicking into the tempo is great. I thought you had a good time with it. I liked your physicality. You seemed very relaxed, but also wanting to kind of rope us into the song you were singing. I wonder if on the scat section. I love that you kind of get a little bit internal on that. It's a little weird to be like zadooba-doo da da da, so presentable with that. So I love that you kind of got internal. I wonder if you could maybe even have fun with your pianist in that moment.
Okay, great.
And you kind of become a band together.
Yeah. Dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. The musical dialogue between that could be a fun idea. The very end, I don't know how that landed. That final note, I was kind of like, you were on it, but I don't know if it's quite the most satisfying ending the song could have. Is that how it's written?
It's not.
Okay. What is it supposed to be? Or it's not?
I added that little
I like it. I like it.
But we could find a different. I could just end on the fifth if you want.
It's good. Well,
Well, he did a little scat figure.
Which I like it.
Tritone.
How did you feel about that?
I thought it was jazzy.
Yeah, it is jazzy.
But I don't know if it was in character.
Maybe that's it. That it took me out.
Do you think you want it to pick up at the end, or does it want to end as a ballad?
I liked it coming back down, I have to say.
Here's the thing about doing a scat figure at the end. It removes us from the last lyrical thought. Because when you end the song, it's good to live it again. And if you're going to do a scat figure, whatever that is has to amplify what you've just sung. So if you do, it's good to live it again, then I feel absolutely that has something to do with what you've sung. But if you did, it's good to live it again, it doesn't make any sense emotionally. So that's, I think, what you might have been feeling.
Yeah, it took me out instead of contributed to what you just said.
And the same thing with the scat section in the middle. The only reason to scat something is if it adds to the character of the text of the song. And that's why scat singing is a very precarious thing to do unless you're in a jazz club and it's all about the jazz. If it's also about the text of the song, scat singing is dangerous territory unless you can absolutely make that scat emotionally relate to the rest of the song. Now, when there are Ella Fitzgerald is acknowledged as the greatest scat singer in history. Well, maybe she and Louis Armstrong.
Right.
When Ella scatted, she never rehearsed it. It was always spontaneous. When Mel Torme scatted, he always rehearsed it, but he made it seem like he had never done it before. And I know that he rehearsed it because a friend of mine used to tour with him. And when he was on stage, at the end of the show, they'd say, "Sing a scat song." And he would go, my friend would backstage would be doing exactly the same rhythm. So just be very careful if you do it, that it doesn't sound like it's rehearsed.
It has
Because
to
one of the things
seem
you were
spontaneous.
doing, you were doing the same with your hand. Some jazz singers are that's saying, "Listen to me do this," and I'm hitting the notes. You don't need to do that. If it's scat, it's got to be it's got to be musical and kind of laid back and autumn in New York. So think about that when you do it. Okay?
Got it.
Scatting is tricky. It's not a gift that I have. I've had to do it before, or they've asked me to do it, and I'm one of those that would have to repair it. I don't feel confident enough in that skill to be like, yes, I'm going to spontaneously scat.
You could be the first scatting soprano.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, right. It's like coloratura. I don't think so. But I've steered away from it because I know that it's hard, and you do have to make it spontaneous, and you have to have the voice for it so that when it happens, it is furthering the story and it doesn't take us out of it. But I think you did a good job at it, so I think it's maybe worth trying to keep in, but you have to know that it has to sound spontaneous and super fun.
Already change how you do it.
Exactly.
There's one spot, because of the way the music's written, it's a little weird. Making me feel I'm home. It's two separate phrases, and yet it's one thought. So you have to find a way to connect that.
Okay.
So it's either making me feel I'm home. That's one way, is to cut short the second part of the phrase. Because I think that's what gets you into tempo, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I'd like to hear the beginning of it. I'd love to hear, Daryl, more rhapsodic accompaniment that matches, so there's more contrast when it gets into the chorus. And the other thing I have to say is that your musical timing is great, because you are back phrasing and you are absolutely, you have a great gift of musical time, and I'm sure it didn't just come out of the air, but I just want to acknowledge that's great, because at your age I was nowhere near that, and maybe I don't know how near I am to it now, but you're great with it.
Yeah.
So.
Autumn in New York, why does it seem so inviting? Autumn in New York, it spells the thrill of first nighting. Glittering crowds and shimmering clouds and canyons of steel. They're making me feel I'm home. It's autumn in New York that brings the promise of new love.
More relaxed.
Autumn in New York
Have fun.
is often mingled with pain. Dreamers with empty hands may sigh for exotic lands, but autumn in New York, it's good to live it again. Ba-da-da-da-da. Sa-da-ya-da-da-da-da. Sa-da-da. Ba-ba-da. Sa-da-da-da-da-ya. Sa-da-ba-da. Sa-da-ba-da-da. Sa-da-da-da. Sa-ba-da. Sa-wa. Sa-ba-da-da. Autumn in New York, the gleaming rooftops at sundown. Autumn in New York, it lifts you up when you're run down. Jaded roués and gay divorcees who lunch at the Ritz will tell you that it's divine. This autumn in New York transforms the slums into Mayfair. Autumn in New York, you'll need no castles in Spain. Lovers that bless the dark on benches in Central Park. Greet autumn in New York. It's good to live it